Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast, I'm lucky to have Amanda Johansen. All right, today, Amanda?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Perfect. I'm doing great, actually. It's a good day. I'm very, very excited to talk to Amanda. Amanda's probably, just a complete high-level, top-level lacrosse player, which is near and dear to my heart after a storied career at USC. And I think that the coolest thing about your obviously all the points and all the goals and the All-American awards at USC, you'll always be the first female to ever have scored a goal for that program. That
That was a special day.
That never goes away. So,
That's crazy.
and then you continued on and played professionally the last couple of years in Baltimore, or for the Baltimore Brave at least, and also coaching, which is another big step. Coaching for Hofstra last 2 years.
Yeah, the last two.
Yeah. So how's the lacrosse journey treating you?
I mean, I feel very, very lucky for the journey that I've been able to go on through the sport, especially because I feel like the way that I went through it and my graduation date and just kind of like the current years I've been playing, there's been so much more opportunity than there's ever been in the past for the sport.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of all the work that went into it and what all the players have done, before my time to make this happen. But my journey couldn't be possible without them. And I'd never expected to be able to continue to be playing at this time and at the levels that, I have available to me. So it's been an awesome journey.
And I think your USC coach had such a big thing to do with that because, I'm based in California, and lacrosse, especially in women's lacrosse, was not a big sport at all. And so to have a D1 well-known program set up an actual winning program was pretty phenomenal. And I know it made a lot of headlines here, and you being part of that team is I think a real big reason of the growth.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure when we got to campus my freshman year, which was the first year of the program, you can just tell, like, whether you're going around campus or we were walking anywhere else around the area with lacrosse, like, people were very curious what we were even holding. And I found over time, as we started to make more of a name for ourselves, things definitely began to change. So yeah, I mean, you're correct. It was a huge part with, Lindsay Monday coming over, starting this program and just, bolting us to the success that, we had in a short amount of time. And yeah, that was huge. And I definitely have, seen the change. And now even being on the East Coast, more of the hotbed for the sport, we still are, watching the growth that's happening over in California and in Colorado, just really the whole West Coast and even places now like Texas in the South and places that weren't hotbeds are just growing drastically.
Well, even like, because I've seen it in Florida, wherever you got the warm weather, we played a team, my daughters played a team from Houston, and they were lights out. I mean, just phenomenal. So
yeah, the weather is huge. I mean, if you can train all year round and you can play outside all year round, compared to, where the hotbeds really have been in the past on the East Coast, like, you're really restricted over the winter time. So I can definitely see that being a huge factor.
Well, the one thing I wanted to ask you, because doing some research on you, I found out you were a complete self-starter. Your coaches didn't have to tell you to run the extra lap or do the extra sprints. In fact, the part I read was that they actually had to tell you to ease up. So as a coach now, how hard is it coaching somebody, or, because I remember some girls are self-motivated and some aren't. So how hard is it for someone like you to appreciate someone that's not a self-starter and needs a little push?
I mean, everybody is different. I feel like in their ways of, whether it's self-motivation, whether they need a little bit more of a push. At the end of the day, I appreciate any player that plays for the love of the game, and everyone has their own reasons why they play. It is difficult, when you see a player that has so much talent and they love the game, but they're just not willing to take that extra step and push themselves.
Yeah.
But I do whatever I can to try to pull that out of them. I think as coaches, it's our job to promote player growth. And I think a lot of times it just comes down to allowing the player to find on their own that they just have the next level to them with a little bit more hard work. And I think I can relate back to, like, when I was younger, high school, middle school, I just played a ton of sports all the time, all different sports. I was never going out and working out. I wasn't lifting. I wasn't running. I wasn't doing anything extra just because I was
doing so much,
consumed all the time by playing actual sports. So when I did get to college, I think at first it was a little shock because it was like, we have to run, train, do all of this, for that one sport. And I don't think I knew about that next level and about pushing yourself.
Yeah.
And really just like where you can go until I did make that switch. So I think it takes a little bit of time. But I think it's possible to pull out of everyone. So, I can't be disappointed when I see that right away because I give people time to change and make that adjustment.
Yeah. Especially, I would think as an incoming freshman coming out of high school versus a senior mm-hmm. who's 21, 22, 23, mm-hmm. That's a big growth spurt, just emotionally, mentally, the whole thing.
100%. And it also depends, like, the program that they're coming from. Like, some of these players are coming from high schools where they had, instead of gym class, they were doing lifting and training for their sport, or they had preparation in their club. Or then you have the other players that, have always kind of just been playing a bunch of different sports. They haven't solely focused on one. They've never experienced the lifting and all of that stuff. So freshman year is a huge learning curve for everyone.
Yeah.
But everyone will get on track eventually.
What part of coaching excites you the most? Because I know you worked on team travel at Mount St. Mary's, and you've done different things. You're a defensive coordinator and draw control. What are you looking towards the recruiting part of it? Is being a head coach somewhere the long range plan?
I've had a great experience coaching so far. Like you hit on before, I've definitely experienced a lot of different aspects of coaching and different size programs and type of programs. And when I was at Mount St. Mary's, I was a graduate assistant, and I kind of just really, that was the first time I took part in the coaching aspect of the sport. Yeah, I think it was a unique transition because I wasn't ready to be done playing. Like I wanted to be on the field with them.
Sure.
So that was a little hard, but I definitely learned more of like the operational work, and I think I found my voice a little bit. I've always been somebody that was quiet, so I had to make that change as a coach. And then at USC, I got to work with both sides of the field, and then the draw. And then at Hofstra, I'm actually the defensive coordinator and the draw coach. So it's a little bit of everything. I really do like working with defense a lot. I find that defenders just have that work ethic of like, I don't care about my stat line. I just want to stop my player, go hard. It's not really for glory at all. And I just find coaching them makes my job easy. But I mean, on the other side of things, I found it really interested, even at Hofstra, learning about, budgets and counting scholarships and other pieces, because at the end of the day, I also have a big interest in the business side of things, as a business undergrad at USC. So I don't know 100% if, I do want to be a head coach in the future. However, right now I'm really enjoying, where I'm at and continuing to move up, as a coach and grow, my abilities as a coach.
I think that's interesting because you said some really key things about how you're a defense coordinator. I mean, you played midi and you scored a ton of goals and a lot of assists, and now you're a defensive coordinator. But I think that's kind of cool because like both my daughters played attack. Mm-hmm. And then when I started coaching the high school around here, I actually coached the low D, the low post, and goalies because I taught them what I taught my daughters how to score is what I taught my goalies how to defend. Yep, exactly. So I think,
I mean, I feel like it's the, I have the same reasoning kind of for that. I definitely, I would say my first 2-3 years at USC as a player, I had more of an attacking mindset. Coming from high school, just like being somebody that like
score,
scoring a lot of goals and doing a lot of things offensively. Like as a midi, I initially had that offensive mindset, and then slowly towards the end of my career in college, I started getting a little more defensive minded. I felt like a midi I can almost impact more for like 50-50 situations, and I really enjoyed our crew that we had on defense. But as a coach, I feel like I can be more strategic coaching the defense, knowing that I had a pretty good IQ offensively. Like I as a player, I used to read the defense to make my decisions.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a coach, it's kind of like you just said it. You just do the reverse. This is what the attacker's most likely thinking. This is what we're going to do to prevent that.
I totally agree. I think that's a unique. Maybe that's a little different because a lot of players that play attack only coach attackers.
Yep.
And if you're a defender, you coach defending. Whereas, if I'm a goalie coach, I want to know what. If I'm a goalie, I want to know what that attacker's thinking or seeing. So you want to see the reverse. So, anyways, getting a little specific. What did you when you were at Mount St. Mary's? I saw that you were involved with the team travel. How much extra work was that you didn't think of? All the different things you have to think about as a coach now.
So that was definitely interesting to start. I was coming from USC where we had a director of operations, and basically that role took care of all the travel, hotels,
yep.
How we're gonna get here to there, things like that I never really even thought of. It was just super seamless. And then when I got to Mount St. Mary's, I'm a very, very organized person. I almost I'm too organized at times. And,
go ahead and say it.
Yeah, but so I felt like that travel role would be good for me. I didn't realize how much goes into that, and almost the pressure of taking care of travel. I mean, I remember I would almost be fearful for every trip that oh my gosh, I forgot to get the right amount of hotel rooms, or we're actually the bus. The things that I thought that I hadn't had confirmed, which everything ended up always turning out fine. But I mean, traveling's tough with a big group. You feel like you're responsible for a lot of people. You want everything to go well. I had this big binder that I'd take on every trip. And it's just, you have to be super organized and ready. I think that my experiences at USC with probably traveling more than, almost any program in the whole country, just because of our location, and even having to fly to conference games, let alone flying across the country for non-conference games. I definitely travel, was something I was comfortable with, but it was definitely a switch being the one organizing it versus just kind of going along for the ride.
Well, I was curious, as a player, especially at USC, as a player, as an adult professional, it might be different, but as a player at a high level college, what did you focus on as far as the travel? Like if you're going to Oregon or if you're going, to Florida or back east to Stony Brook or wherever, how did you prepare for that travel versus now as a coach, you're now dealing with 20 of you having all the different issues that come up. I forgot my phones. I forgot my headphones. I forgot my book. I forgot this. I forgot my computer. How difficult was that for you?
It was tough. I feel like we would do a good job though. Created travel lists. We basically sent everyone 48 hours before the trip, this is a list of everything you may possibly need, from socks to, extra pairs of shirts and just really anything you can need, we put on the list, really for a no excuses, covering all aspects. At Hofstra, though, I do a lot of, travel items as well. And we've designated a player to be in charge of travel, so that they're responsible for making sure that everyone has everything packed, everything comes on the trip. So that's been a little different. I think that's a very, I think that's an easy way to do it, which has been great. It kind of puts the responsibility on them to remember. And then if you forget something, it's kind of like, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
I've never experienced, whether a coach or a player, I've never experienced anyone forgetting their jersey or cleats. I've definitely heard scary stories like that. Cause all right, I'm across the country. I don't have my shoes. We have to go find it at a store. But one thing we did forget, I remember at USC as a player, was the ball bag. And that was actually the time where Amazon Prime had just come out my senior year, and Sony was super smart, and they were like, we're gonna overnight a lacrosse ball bag filled with balls, and we'll be at the hotel the next morning. And we're all like, okay, great. And then of course it came 5 minutes after we already departed for practice.
Of course.
And didn't go too well.
That's awesome, though. I remember the issue we always had was we'd go to tournaments and you'd bring your away jersey and your home jersey. And it was inevitable that one player would always forget one of the jerseys.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know we were going to have to bring both. It's like, oh, my God. You mean?
I definitely used to do that when I was younger, going to club tournaments. We'd be like halfway driving to Jersey, and I'd be like, oh, Dad, I don't have my cleats.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shoot.
Shoot shucks. And I think that'd be interesting as, you know, because you're still playing. I mean, by the way, you're an all-star on the Baltimore team. You made the all-star. I mean, you're still playing at an incredibly high level, but now you're also coaching freshmen that have never left home before. So it's got to be kind of, only because you said you're not anal retentive, but very organized.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see how you perform this. I mean, Hofstra was off to a great start.
Yeah.
How frustrating for the quarantine part of it, you know, getting, especially as a senior. You must have felt really terrible for the seniors.
Yeah, I mean, the season was tough. We definitely had a lot of high expectations for this team. Although our last two competitions that we were able to get in before this, you know, definitely wasn't our best performance. We still had just like so many games and so many more opportunities left in the season that it's hard just kind of ended it like in question of, you know, how far could we have gone and, you know, what we could have done.
Yeah.
I think everyone's been really great about understanding at the end of the day, what's super important is that everyone's healthy, their families are healthy, and we just, you know, safety matters more. I think it was huge that the NCAA announced that the seniors would be able to get another year, that everyone would be able to get another year. But I think for the seniors specifically, it was a little bit of a relief.
Oh, I didn't know that. So the seniors are going to be able to come back?
Yeah, so basically, most of the role is still in the works. However, what's secured is that this past year, anybody that was a member of the team gets an extra year. So there's a few issues, though, because at like schools like Ivy Leagues, you cannot complete 5 years of your sport. So those who want to take that extra year have to transfer. The rule also is you don't have to take that year at your school. So there are a lot of players that, you know, who would have just graduated this year from their school are now transferring and going to grad school for 1 year. It's been a very unique and interesting situation, just kind of seeing how everything unfolded. At Hofstra, we are super lucky. We had 3 of our captains who were seniors. They're all returning for us. They're all getting an extra year. We had 3 other seniors who, you know, already had jobs lined up that decided, you know, they're going to go and take those jobs, which is totally understandable. But it's crazy that, you know, this is the world right now. However, like I know, you know, everyone's going to get through it, and the next time that we get to actually be with the team is going to be special, just because I feel like there's been so many unknowns.
Yeah,
that'll be nice for everything to get back to normal.
Well, I think it's just for my listeners, when she says that the last 2, you know, I think you were 4-3, and your 3 losses were to top 20 teams.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly an embarrassment loss. You beat Hopkins in overtime, and I mean,
yeah, no, it wasn't at all. But I just feel like we had super high standards. Like our first game was against USC, who finished, I believe, number 7 or number 6, you know, in the polls, and it was a 1-goal game, and we were up towards the end. So we felt like that was one that we definitely could have, you know, that could have been a big win for us. And then DC and Maryland, we lost to them. However, granted, they are phenomenal teams.
Well,
I just feel like we didn't play as well as we know we can.
They were both away games. I mean, I think you would have gone solid going into Stony Brook and Notre Dame, and Towson would have been your next hard ones. Yeah,
I mean, we were very excited for the season that we had, for the schedule that we, you know, had this year. It was a big schedule. I mean, we had a lot of top-ranked opponents, conference and non-conference, but we had a really, really tough non-conference schedule, which is something that I love, you know, as a competitor. And you always want to be able to play the top teams, and we actually had that opportunity this year. We are not sure how the schedule is going to work out next year, but we were excited this year for it.
Well, the scheduling, I think that's the big unknown for so many different industries through the quarantine is, you got your sports. And I'll give you an example. I just talked to Justin Bieber's tour director for the show. And so the Bieber tour was supposed to go from April 1st to the end of September. Obviously, that all got canceled. But he said, the tour director said the most important person in the music industry right now is the commissioner of the NBA. And I was like, what? Because
it started with their decision, correct?
No, because when it comes back, the basketball teams get first choice at all the arenas throughout the country.
True.
So wherever the basketball, if the commissioner says the Boston Celtics are playing home this game and the Lakers are playing home this game, then Staples is taken. And so all the touring artists are waiting to get that schedule from the basketball commissioner so they can then schedule their tours. So no one can schedule anything until the basketball teams figure out what they're going to do with their season. And I just I never would have thought that.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think about just really, any situation that any event that was going to be planned, it's all based around, having those dates, and the schedule is supposed to be, the weekend is supposed to be of, I think about, club lacrosse over the summer, major tournaments, every weekend, and whether coaches are recruiting and players are going to play. It's just if things haven't already been canceled, the ones that aren't canceled, it's even hard to find a date to postpone. It's just so many unknowns.
All the fields. Well,
comes down to field space. Yeah.
That was the question I was going to ask you next, is because you're a lot of the coaches, and I don't know if assistants go, but I would think so. But you go to the high school and club tournaments through the summer, because I had a lot of girls from here going back to Maryland, Virginia, and New York for the summer tournaments, and the coaches go and recruit off that. But if you're not allowed to gather, that's going to be, recruiting is going to be interesting.
I'm interested to see how it all pans out. I know that, right now we're looking at there being absolutely no tournaments until at least, after June.
Yeah.
It's also even difficult because even if you were to put on tournaments in August, technically coaches can't recruit in August, so we would have to wait to see if the NCAA would push our rules back.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of moving parts to every decision. So, I definitely feel for the players eager to get out there on the field, and the club directors and really everything, because it's really a standstill until we have basically an answer about anything.
Well, even for you guys, because now you've got 3 quality seniors coming back, so now you don't need 3 new players coming in. You know what I mean? It affects everything. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's gonna be
it definitely does. The only thing is that our 2020 class, who will be our incoming freshmen, they have already that class has already been established for quite a while, and then we already have our 2021 class who's below them established as well. So as these players come in, it's just everything has been completely shaken up anyway, because players can take that extra year. The team, the amount of the roster size is now completely thrown off.
Yeah,
people aren't really sure what's going to happen with scholarships. It is just such a unique and crazy situation that it just is affecting not only a lot of stuff in sports, but just every aspect of the world.
Yeah, because you literally have freshman, sophomore girls in high school that are starting to look at colleges, and colleges are looking at them. So
and even no ACT.
Yeah,
don't really. Do you make kind of unknown?
Yeah, as I was just thinking, if you're a sophomore in high school, you make the decision based upon the incoming and people that are going to be there, and the it's just going to be totally turned around. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see with timeline how that is adjusted and how it affects everyone.
How do you think it's going to affect the women's professional lacrosse league, the WPLL?
So unfortunately, but totally understandable, our season was canceled already for this summer. That is difficult because although, like I mentioned earlier, we have so many more opportunities than we've ever had before. And I absolutely love the WPL. I have a blast playing. Definitely the highlight, of my summer. So it's unfortunate that, we basically miss out on a full year to be able to compete. However, they said that they're going to try to put something together in the fall, pending how everything is going on in the world. But, so whatever happens in the fall, I'd love to be a part of. And then I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to all the players who are in the league to just train and be ready, as if our next opportunity comes tomorrow, even though we really don't know when our next opportunity will be to play. I know the league probably has to also make a lot more decisions based on, the new players pool and the drafting and everything, because everyone that had been drafted for this summer, there will now have to be another draft for those who will be out of college as well. So I'm interested to see how that shakes up too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that because, I'm sure, some of the better players that were going to be seniors or are seniors this year are going to stay around, so they're not going to be able to go into your draft.
Yeah, of course.
Oh. And because, I had heard that, the XFL, the NFL team or league, football league, just filed bankruptcy, because this happened to hit right in the middle of their season and they didn't have the money and wherewithal to be around anymore.
I know. I mean, I heard that news and that was upsetting. I felt like I didn't know too much about that league, but what I had heard it was fun and people were loving it. So
it's just like the WPL. It's like the lacrosse leagues. I mean, they're not big money sports yet.
No.
And it's not like you guys are making millions of dollars as players.
I mean, it's going to be a constant uphill battle for any women's professional league to, stay afloat. And I think typically for, a newer professional lacrosse league, it's going to take a lot of, work from the players, from the people of the league and from sponsors and from donors, to keep it afloat. I think our fan base is actually pretty special.
Yeah,
we
strong.
have a huge following, and that is awesome to see. And I think it's just going to take a lot of people to keep the league afloat. And there, thankfully, we do have. There's plenty of people out there who are willing to do what it takes, and we're helping out in any way that they can to make this happen and for a comeback in 2021.
That's awesome.
Hopefully for the best lacrosse ever yet.
Sure. My last question, I really appreciate the time today, is as when you traveled as a player, what did you, were you listening to music? Were you listening to, were you catching up on movies? Were you trying to get sleep? Were you doing your schoolwork versus now as a coach? What do you do to fill that time?
It's actually an interesting question because when I was a player going into my games, I definitely, I was a music person. I like to always just kind of stay very calm, whether it was during travel, whether it's before a game. I was that person with music that was like, John Mayer when everyone else was listening to like hardcore rap. I was always very aware of like my performance levels. And so with travel, I just try to, stay calm. And whether that would help me, whether like watching even some film on my way to a game, doing anything I can. I just wanted to be fully prepared for performance. And then as a coach, so I'm actually getting my second master's degree at Hofstra as well in sports science.
Nice.
And I've had a lot of work and I've been doing a lot of studying. So when I was a player, it was a lot of plane travel. Now as a coach with Hofstra, it's a lot of bus travel. And I found that I can get my schoolwork done on the bus, where I for some reason, which I think is very different than other people's, when I'm on a plane, I can't get any schoolwork done.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I always think about taking my computer with me, and I'm like, I'm not able to focus the way I need to on the planes. That's just me. How much do you think technology has just changed how coaching is? How has technology changed a coach's job? Meaning, it's so much easier, I think, now for you to stay in touch with players and you can watch their YouTube videos and all that type of thing versus not having them.
I mean, technology's been huge, not only in like communication, which, is vital nowadays. Like to stay in touch with our team, we're doing weekly Zoom meetings, seeing everyone's faces, staying in contact, making sure that everyone's doing well, right? But also, for the sport in general, like there's some pretty, high tech devices out there that have been, game changers on the field, whether it's systems with cameras surrounding the field. You get an iPad, so after the game, you can quickly have your film cut. You can show the players film from all different views, all different angles, zooming in, zooming out. There's a lot of really cool things, on the market nowadays with that. There's also heart rate monitors that a lot of teams are using for their athletes that mid-game and mid-practice, it tracks, the heart rates. It tracks the toll that what they're doing is taking on their body. So technology is a very, very massive part of the sport, more than I think I really saw it until I was just talking about it.
Yeah, and that literally just came up to me too, because I was thinking, my daughter started playing lacrosse like 12 years ago. It was their first year. And it was like you just kind of showed up, and even at the end, when I was coaching at the end, a couple of years, you start looking at they have the clock gauges for your shot clock. I'm trying to
shot clock.
It would measure the miles per hour, so you could have little things you put in the corners of the goals. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and then just all the different stuff. Like, it's interesting because lacrosse has been around for so long. It's hundreds of years old with wood sticks to now carbon fiber this and in college,
the amount of products.
Are you guys starting to, in colleges? Are they starting to use the helmets at least in practice to prevent the concussions?
I haven't coached or played with anybody that has chosen to use it. I did play against players that wear helmets. I really think it's at the college level, at least, it's those who have previously had, concussions or any head injuries. They're choosing to wear it, for their own safety. But it hasn't been like a universal trend yet. I know that I don't know much information or really the data at all, but I know that a lot of people are saying that they feel wearing helmets might make the game more dangerous. It might make people feel like they could be a little more aggressive than they should be, or even somebody who's dodging with a helmet versus somebody who doesn't have a helmet, their helmet to head contact could be worse. There's just, so many parts to everything with that. I know that the state of Florida, for their high schoolers, and I think all youth lacrosse, it was mandated. So I'm interested to see if those players would continue to wear it at the college level, but you definitely will see it once in a while on the field with one or two players, but it's not that common.
Did you? I'm trying to think. Did you played at USC before the shot clock, right? And then after?
Yes. I played before the shot clock, but they introduced the rule of quick start.
Oh,
so it used to be like everything was on the whistle.
Yeah.
And then I was playing when it was quick starts. And then now the game has transformed into a 90-second shot clock with free movement all the time, constant running up and down. And then in the WPL league that I'm in, this is like, it has been the most exciting game by far because, I love to run as midi, and it's actually a 60-second shot clock, constant movement, 6v6 on both sides or 7v7. So there's just so much space to run and move. The game's quick. It's exciting. I think the shot clock in general has made has just been a huge stride, I think, for the sport, because people, outsiders who had never really watched the sport, they used to say, oh, it was slow and it was boring. Now it's one of the, fastest sports on 2 feet. So I think that has definitely changed.
Well, even as a coach, I mean, stalling was a real thing. And when you're down as a coach, you hate stalling. And when you're up, you like stalling. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
But yeah, I always hated stalling, even if you're up. It wasn't the game. It's like,
I agree.
It
wasn't fun to do in the game, but it also it wasn't good for the people watching the sport. It wasn't good for the fans either.
Yeah, well, and even like the player. I mean, and I never played obviously women's lacrosse, but talking to my daughters who both played attack, they didn't like being installed either. They wanted to score and run plays and and play lacrosse. And coaches are yelling, stall, yellow. It's like, ugh.
I know. I remember when I was younger, every time we would go into like a stall at the end of the game, you have the parents on the sideline like, go to the goal, like who cares? Forget yellow.
Yeah.
So we're listening to coach.
Exactly. And as a coach, I'd look around and go, really? We're trying to win a game here, my friend. So I appreciate the time. What's the best way for people to kind of follow you and see what you got going on, as far as whether it's a website or social media? Or?
I have my Instagram account. I'm pretty active on it. I definitely will need to be more active. But it's at Amanda Johansen 7. I do have a Twitter. I really only retweet, but my Instagram is probably the best handle.
Okay.
For me.
And also the other link I'll put in there is for the for Hofstra. So So if any other players want to, you have a recruit form, I'm sure, on the Hofstra page. Right?
I have an office phone. I use my personal cell phone.
No, but I mean, a player that might be interested in visiting Hofstra, they just go to the Hofstra page.
My Hofstra email, is on the Hofstra page. It's just amanda.johansen@hofstra.edu.
Perfect. I'll make sure to add those in, and when all the West Coast players start hitting you up, emailing you, that'd be awesome. That'd be pretty funny. Are you starting to see really good players from California looking at back east teams, or is it still?
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact California teams are not quite at the level of a Maryland or New York team, but you got some really good athletes that are coming up, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely are a ton of great athletes in California. I especially noticed. I followed a team pretty closely this past year who had some great California athletes. A lot of my buddies from college, they're coaching club teams.
Yeah.
They're out California too. So I always make sure, I go over and say hi and watch the teams. In the college game, there's plenty of great girls playing awesome, and they're from California. And there's still a lot of players who are top players on the West Coast that are that still join East Coast club lacrosse teams over summer.
Yeah.
But that's always great. But I think that the club programs in general on the West Coast are growing, so that probably won't be much of a thing anymore in the future.
Yeah, a few more years.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much. This was really fun.
I'm going to end with that, Amanda, but is it possible, can you email or text me a picture I can use for for the episode? I don't know.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, I can definitely do
that. With lacrosse players, that's could be a tough thing.
Should I?
It's hard to get good shots. I used to take pictures of my daughter's teams.
No, it is. I have a lot of really terrible pictures.
And my daughter's like, not that picture. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, at USC actually, they made like the wallpaper around the locker room, like a couple of girls from my graduating class, and they chose these pictures, I think, before they knew what like
the sport
athletic
was.
lacrosse players were supposed to look like. And they're just 3 of the worst pictures you can ever imagine on the wall, and I am just still so embarrassed to this day that it is it is still on the wall. But yes, I will definitely send over. I'll send you a few that
Okay.
I don't hate.
I'm telling you, man, I did that. Gosh, my daughter's senior year, my oldest daughter, the one that went to played at Towson, was I did the photo slideshow at the end of the year for the banquet. And it was the same. All the girls were like, oh my God, not that picture. Look at my legs. Look at my arm. Like, oh, look at my.
It's tough.
That picture makes me look like I got a double chin. You know, well, you were getting hit in the head with a stick at the time, so.
I mean, I had some teammates that looked perfect on your picture. I'm like, were you trying to look good while you were playing this whole game? Like, were you just like smiling and you're making your hair perfect? Meanwhile, mine is like, it's rough. But you know, I was going hard.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, Amanda. Talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.